How do I feel less stress and anxiety? If you struggle with anxiety and feeling stressed all the time, you likely need to focus on self-care and wellness in order to tackle these things. You're probably finally ready to prioritize your well-being and do something about feeling so stressed out and anxious all the time. Hi there, I'm Mallory, and in this video, I'll be walking you step by step through how to reduce your stress and anxiety with sage, smudging with sage, and other Indigenous wellness teachings. I am personally no stranger to stress and anxiety. I've dealt with anxiety my entire life, and it took a long time of learning, understanding what was going on, and slowly taking steps to improve my mental health before I saw real results in my happiness every day. At Tribal Trade, we help thousands of people to reduce their stress and anxiety, feel calmer and more at peace, more connected with themselves by smudging with sage and using other Indigenous spiritual wellness practices. For me personally, my journey to dealing with my stress and anxiety has been deeply rooted in my reconnection with my Indigenous culture and Indigenous spirituality as an Anishinaabe. In this video, I want to explain the 6 important steps that will help you overcome feelings of anxiety due to stress. All right, now let's get into it. The first step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness practices is to understand where stress and anxiety comes from. First of all, what is stress and what is anxiety? Anxiety is a feeling of fear, dread, and uneasiness. Feeling anxious might cause you to sweat, feel restless and tense, and have a fast heartbeat. It can be a normal reaction to stress. For example, you might feel anxious when you're faced with a difficult problem at home or work or before making an important decision. Now, where does anxiety come from? Generally not feeling good enough, bad or a negative environment, limiting beliefs of yourself or a poor image of yourself and your self-worth. Now, when does anxiety start to become an anxiety problem? Usually difficult experiences in childhood, adolescence, or adulthood are common triggers for an anxiety problem. Now, why is it so hard to improve stressful feelings and improve anxiety? It's because these negative thoughts and mindsets can be very difficult to escape from. It takes hard work and practice. So that's it for the first step, is understand what you're dealing with stress and anxiety. The second step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness practices is to have personal reflection where your stress and anxiety is coming from. Ask yourself the following reflection questions in either a journal or just think about them. Now, a journal or a notepad is always a good way to see it on a surface separate from in your own mind. So what I want you to do is ask yourself these questions. Where is the source of my stress and anxiety? Or where is it coming from for you personally? What does it mean to you that you're feeling this way? Are you in certain environments that seem to be a source of your stress? Are there people who seem to specifically create stress and anxious moments for you? How often are you feeling stressed and anxious? Do you feel like your anxiety is at a level of it being a problem for you? And what are your current coping techniques for when you're feeling anxious? Now, what I want you to do is reflect on those answers. This will give you clarity and understanding for yourself. And after you reflect on your answers, especially if they're written down and you can evaluate them by looking at them, you'll likely start to see patterns that can lead to realizations that can help you understand your feelings better. All right, moving on to step 3. The third step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness practices is to learn why it's so powerful to use Indigenous wellness to help with your stress and anxiety. Why is Indigenous wellness so amazing for health? Indigenous people are resilient and the culture is so beautiful. When you start to learn more about Indigenous teachings, you will quickly see how amazing traditional teachings are in making you understand how to be a good person, how to live in a good way. One way is the resiliency framework that we have developed within the Smudge Circle program. This resiliency framework involves three main components. The first being clarity, talking about Indigenous worldview or your worldview that can help you understand your values, your vision for yourself, beliefs, your background, and where you come from. The second component of the resiliency framework is connection. So having powerful intention practices that can help you feel more connected to yourself, and practices such as smudging with sage. The third component of the resiliency framework is balance, such as using the medicine wheel to help identify areas of imbalance in your spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental states of being. When you use all of these three core Indigenous teachings together, you could create more resilience for yourself than you ever imagined. Now, the fourth step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness practices is to evaluate when smudging is a good option for you. Smudging is the spiritual and ceremonial practice of burning sage and wafting the cleansing smoke that purifies and cleanses yourself and your space. Now, when is smudging the best choice for reducing your stress and anxiety? It's such a good option as there's smudging for beginners. There are so many benefits to smudging on a spiritual level, as well as if you're wanting something that is hands-on, smudging is a great choice to help you reduce your stress. Now, who can smudge? Do I have to be of Indigenous background? Now, we have lots of videos on these topics, but of course anyone can smudge. You don't have to be Indigenous. If you want to learn more about smudging and these topics surrounding smudging, watch this video right here. All right, now the fifth step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness is asking yourself when you should use other forms of Indigenous wellness practices for reducing your stress. Some other popular forms of Indigenous wellness practices are Indigenous worldview, the 7 grandfather teachings, and the medicine wheel, and many other teachings as well. Now, when should you use the 7 grandfather teachings? Whenever you need help finding clarity in your values and beliefs and figuring out which are most important to you, the 7 grandfather teachings is a really good teaching. If you want to learn more about 7 grandfather teachings, watch this video right here. Now, when should the medicine wheel be used? Whenever you feel off balance, unhappy, or unhealthy, but you don't know where to start, the medicine wheel is an amazing, amazing resource to use for that. Now, the 6th step to reduce your stress and anxiety using Indigenous wellness practices is to take action and begin learning. Now, how can you actively take steps to smudge with sage and other Indigenous wellness practices to maintain a reduced level of stress and anxiety? Now, here are some steps to follow for how to take action. Start with the self-reflection from the beginning of this video. This is really important because you need to build a foundational connection with yourself. Understand where you're at right now and be able to make sense of how you are personally feeling. Then move on to deciding which of the Indigenous wellness teachings feel like they're the most applicable for you to start with in your personal healing journey and healing your feelings of anxiety and stress. If you choose smudging with sage, the first thing that you want to do is obtain your smudging bundle items or your smudge kit. Then you can learn about other sacred medicines that can be used for healing as well. If you choose the medicine wheel as something that resonates with you, you can watch this video right here on the medicine wheel teaching. If you choose the 7 grandfather teachings, you could take the spirit animal quiz that will tell you which of the 7 grandfather teachings you embody the most and what spirit animal is attributed to that which is your strongest teaching. Now, a really important thing to note is after you've tried learning about one teaching, learn about another one because they all have their own unique values that they can help you with. All right, so now you know these 6 important steps that will help you overcome your feelings of anxiety due to stress and how to use powerful and spiritual Indigenous wellness practices to get there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have an amazing day and we'll see you next time.